My wife wanted to open the marriage after I lost my job, so I agreed, and then she saw who I was dating. The axe fell on a Tuesday morning. A brief, sterile Zoom call with HR and my manager, and just like that, my 5-year career at the firm was over. I drove home in a daze, the weight of mortgage payments and car loans and grocery bills pressing down on me. My only comfort, the thought of my wife's empathy. I needed her to tell me we'd be okay, that we were a team, that we'd get through this together. Instead, I found her waiting for me in the living room, her posture rigid, a pot of tea already cold on the coffee table between us. There was no hug, no words of comfort. She launched right in, her voice calm and frighteningly rehearsed. She said my layoff had accelerated a necessary conversation, that my lack of ambition and professional stagnation had left her feeling unfulfilled for months. I listened dumbfounded as the person I loved dissected our marriage like a business transaction. She presented her solution not with guilt, but with a sense of superiority, as if she were bestowing a great wisdom upon me. She needed to explore her options to see if the grass was truly greener. She called it opening the marriage. But her terms were not those of some enlightened mutual agreement. They were a verdict. She would be free to date, to seek out the ambition and success she felt I now lacked. I, the newly unemployed and thus unstable partner, was expected to stay home, to work on myself, to figure things out. The unspoken implication was clear. The problem was mine alone, and this was my punishment. I agreed. The word okay fell from my lips, numb and hollow. I wasn't agreeing out of some newfound belief in polyamory. I agreed because I was in shock, because the foundation of my entire life had been ripped out twice in one day, and I had no strength left to fight. I saw a flicker of triumphant satisfaction in her eyes before she turned away. She thought she had won. She thought she had confined me to a prison of my own failure. The moment she left for her first date, a new energy coursed through me. It wasn't sadness or anger anymore. It was a cold, clear, and terrifying resolve. Her rejection was the catalyst I didn't know I needed. If I was to be alone, I would become someone worth being alone with. The next morning, I started. I channeled all the hours I would have spent job hunting into a grueling new regimen. I ran until my lungs burned. I lifted weights in our garage until my muscles screamed. I used the last of my severance pay, not for bills, but for a few key second-hand pieces from a stylish boutique, a well-tailored blazer, dark denim, boots that weren't scuffed. Most importantly, I began building. For years, I dreamed of starting my own freelance consulting business in my field, but I'd been too comfortable, too secure in my salaried position to take the risk. That safety net was gone. With nothing left to lose, I built a website, reached out to old contacts, and poured every ounce of my skill and newfound desperation into my proposals. Months passed. The transformation was internal long before it was external. My wife's life became a parade of smug stories about her dates, a venture capitalist, a surgeon, a lawyer. She'd narrate their expensive dinners and flashy cars with a pointed glance in my direction, waiting for a reaction of jealousy or inadequacy. She never got one. I'd just nod silently, my focus on my laptop screen, where my client list was growing. My business, born from sheer necessity and defiance, began to thrive. I landed a few small clients, then a bigger one, then a huge one. The work was fulfilling in a way my old job never was. I was my own boss, accountable only to myself. The confidence I'd lost with my layoff returned tenfold, forged in the fire of my own effort. The invitation to the gallery opening came from Alara, the CEO of my most prestigious new client. She was brilliant, formidable, and stunningly beautiful. We had developed a powerful professional respect that often flirted with a deeper, unspoken chemistry. When she asked me to be her +1 for the event, I accepted without a moment's hesitation. The night of the opening, I felt like a different man. The second-hand blazer fit like it was made for me. I stood taller, my gaze steady. When I arrived to pick up Alara, her appreciative smile confirmed the change wasn't just in my head. "You clean up rather well," she said, her eyes sparkling. We walked into the gallery together, and it felt natural, easy. And then I saw her, my wife. She was there with her date for the evening, a man I recognized as a bland middle manager from her office. She was holding a glass of wine, laughing too loudly, trying to fit into a world she thought she wanted. Then her eyes scanned the room and landed on me. The color drained from her face so completely I thought she might faint. Her gaze flickered from me to Alara and her jaw went slack. She knew exactly who Alara was. She had often gossiped with envy about the powerful, elusive CEO in her industry. The triumphant narrative she had built in her head shattered in an instant. I watched the emotions play across her face in a rapid, brutal sequence. Confusion, disbelief, dawning horror, and finally, a scorching, all-consuming jealousy. She whispered something to her date and began cutting through the crowd towards us, her movements stiff and angry. She reached us, ignoring Alara completely, her voice a hysterical stage whisper. "What are you doing? Is this some kind of joke? Are you trying to embarrass me?" Her eyes were wide with fury and panic. The carefully constructed coolness was gone, replaced by raw, unfiltered shock. I didn't move. I simply looked at her, my expression calm. Alara, picking up on the tension instantly, placed a protective hand on my arm, a gesture of unity that made her wife flinch as if she'd been struck. I finally spoke, my voice low and steady, meant only for her. "You wanted to see if the grass was greener. It is." I paused, letting the words hang in the air between us. "Just not for you." The look on her face then was something I will never forget. It was the utter, devastating realization of her catastrophic miscalculation. She saw the man I had become without her, standing next to a woman who valued that man immensely. She saw the life she had thrown away, and she understood, in that one terrible moment, that it was irrevocably gone. She turned and fled from the gallery, leaving her bewildered date behind. I didn't watch her go. I turned back to Alara, the woman who saw my potential even when I had lost sight of it myself, and I knew my new life was just beginning.